Wow, there's some great pictures in here of John. Wow, this is really, really great. Oh, hi. Hi there. Hey, how you doing today? Great. Good to see you today. Here, let me straighten my shirt out for New York City. Yeah. Hello, hello. How are you? Gosh, I didn't know you were there. But anyway, I was just kind of enjoy cruising through a great magazine. Well, today is December 8th, 1980. No, it's not 1980. It's 2000. That's right. It's 2022. Yeah. That is so hard to believe that John Lennon would have been 80 years old, and would have been 80 years old during this whole process. But being that it is John's anniversary of what happened and what took place in New York City, my video is kind of a little bit of a celebration and kind of a story of what it was like for me. So this is kind of fun, just something kind of fun and different to do. Let me back up a little bit here so you can kind of see a little bit more. So like I said, 1980, wow. I remember it so well because I was alive and busy working and had a restaurant job at that time. I was working at a restaurant that was kind of a high-end restaurant. It wasn't a fast food or anything like that. And I just so happened to have a night shift that I had to fulfill. And the night shift consisted of starting around 5, I believe it was, and went till 11 o'clock at night. And so, tell you the truth, I was so tired after I got done with my shift at 11. I went to bed right away, and that evening we lost a rock and roll hero. John Lennon was assassinated by Mark Chapman, and I know this will be just a little bit tough for some of you, my viewers, so please hang in there. It's going to get happier. It's not all doom and gloom and talking about John getting shot. It's actually a fantastic memory. And before all of that happened in November here in America, this album came out, which was absolutely fantastic, Double Fantasy. And I bought this the day it came out. Some people waited until after John passed away to get this album, and some people kind of put it off. I mean, did you buy it when it came out, or did you kind of wait until the frenzy? Because there were a lot of people. This album went to #1. This album just blew away the charts because of the incident, but what a fantastic picture. What an incredible comeback for John Lennon, who basically disappeared off of the charts after Shaved Fish, and we're talking about 75. He kind of went into the Dakota and kind of traveled and did things with Yoko and Sean, and he became a house husband, as a lot of you already know. But John really was very much involved in taking care of the events around the house until he came out with this, which we were so surprised. John didn't know that he was really going to do an album. He kind of kept it in secret. But that's not what this video is about. But this is my very first U.S. pressing from Geffen Records. And like I said, when I get to my Double Fantasy, we'll certainly dive more into that. But we lost John, sad to say, this evening. And Howard Cosell, I've got the audio clip. I meant to play it. Where Howard Cosell on Monday Night Football, I've got the outtakes of it, and he says, I don't want to announce this. I don't want to announce this. This will shock the world. And it did. It was a gunshot that went global, which back in 1980 was a big deal. Today we've got satellites, we've got instant happenings. We can find out stuff that's happened over in Israel, or we can find out about something that's happened in France or Spain or England or Japan, and boom, we've got instant news, we've got instant stuff. But they had to run basically the satellites and had to run trucks over to the Dakota in New York City to film all of this. And yeah, they got there and it was all live and all that kind of stuff, but it certainly was not the instantaneously like we've got today in 2022. It was a totally different world back then. That the satellites were just relatively pretty new. So where I'm going with this video, you're kind of wondering. I know you're kind of sitting here thinking, what is he gonna do? What is he? I know I'm talking about John and just the memory of what it was for me in 1980 of losing John. I mean, rock musicians at that time, nobody was ever shot. Nobody was ever killed. I mean, John was like, when this happened, it was in the range of a president here in America, like a president getting assassinated when Kennedy got shot, things like that. So when John had this happen and this incident took place, it basically shocked the world because this was something unheard of for a musician to get assassinated. It was just devastating. But the marketers and the people that were so big into all the sales and distribution of sales and all that kind of stuff really pumped it up. They jumped on the bandwagon to kind of sell and promote John's stuff, and they came out with all kinds of things. So in 1980, I went crazy myself and bought a lot of these different John Lennon magazines. And this is one of my original ones from 1980. That's a great looking cover, isn't it? But just real quickly, it just kind of shows a little bit of Chapman. We won't go into too much about him. He was really a loony. He really, really was. And this is kind of neat because it shows the picture of the actual with the Dakota and where Chapman stood and where John was and walking in the Dakota. So that was kind of a picture. And then, you know, him in the hospital. And then the whole thing begins of flowers. And we were all glued to the TV. We were all part of this event that took place. And it was so huge. I mean, there's Ringo and Barbara Bach, who flew over to England to be there for Yoko and Sean. And basically, Ringo said, I don't know why I'm here or what I'm doing, but I'm just basically here for John and basically caring for my friends. But these magazines, you know, the ones that I'm going to show you, are just jam full packed. I'm sitting here spinning through it because there's so many pictures. There's just cover to cover, which they don't do too many magazines anymore, where you basically can pick up a magazine and you've got pages, literally pages of Beatles stuff and John Lennon's solo stuff. So, like I said, back in the day of 1980, there were a lot of magazines that were done at that time. And then this is another very good one of magazine. And like I said, I've got stacks of these, so I'm not gonna go through and show you every single one of these magazines because it just get too repetitive. But this was a tremendous magazine, like I said, and these were all just absolutely full of great color and black and white pictures. But the neat thing is about this one, see if I can get it without ruining it, this had a two-sided poster. I never put it up, but it's in pretty good shape. I've kind of torn the bottom of it just a little bit, or top I should say, and that came in the magazine. And here's the other side. But I just thought I'd show you some of the kind of cool and unique kind of things for John Lennon for 1980. The things and the events that all took place. Like I said, the marketing that they did for all of this. Also, they came out with a record. This was a picture disc of John and kind of a history thing about John and some other interviews and stuff like that. But the neat thing about this was really unusual. The very last one was a backwards loop, and you were like, golly, what the world was that? You know, so it played backwards, and they had no idea what it was or what it said or any of that kind of stuff. So back in the time, the CDs were just barely coming in. So everybody still had turntables. So with this record, you spun it backwards, and it's kind of like a choir of high-voiced women, and they say, "We'll miss you, John. Gulp. Yeah, so it was kind of an emotional kind of, wow, that's incredible. They would do that for this album. So that was really very neat. And this is, you know, a little bit later, but I like the picture, so just kind of indulge me. This is a magazine from Canada with John, and this is actually 1988, but there's a bunch of stuff in there with John. But I just wanted to show you that because that was a really neat one. Rolling Stones got into the magazines and jumping in with John and Yoko. And this had many, many great pictures of John that we never saw until Rolling Stones came out. And so these were some, like that picture I just showed you was taken in the Dakota. These were all taken in the Dakota. And these are pictures that we never saw until this magazine. I just said that, but these are all when John was there at his place. And so I just thought this was absolutely fantastic. So this was Rolling Stone magazine. And then we go to England, and this was an English publication, which back in 1980, that was kind of crazy. You didn't get magazines like we do today. And there's some really neat stuff in this magazine. Today you can kind of just pick up a magazine, and you know, you might get one from Spain or Portugal or something like that, and you know, we've got the World Wide Web. Well, back then there wasn't any World Wide Web to speak of that we could have purchasing logs and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, magazines like this was our information. This was our kind of our history, our books that we enjoyed. And I collected these like crazy. I've not shown too many magazines in my videos because I think people would kind of be bored. I don't know. Let me know down below if you would want to see some more magazines. But I've got magazines that are, you know, from the 70s and 60s and 80s and even current ones with Paul McCartney and stuff like that. So let me know down below, you know, if you'd be interested in seeing more, or you could care less. Another great magazine of John. This is also a UK publication. You could send off for a poster at that time in 1980 for John. I've never saw the poster. I don't know if anybody ever did that, you know, and I'm sure maybe you've never seen this magazine, so you probably say, well, I never knew there was a poster. Yeah, it was kind of wild and crazy. But this is just kind of a fun, happy memory of John instead of kind of being heavy on the day that we lost John. So this is kind of more or less a fun thing to do. Here's another great magazine. This is one of my favorites, actually. Love that back picture. That's just cool. But this has a lot of really, really good color pictures. And this is another magazine, like I said, that went basically from beginning to end, all color, all pictures, which nowadays, you know, you buy a magazine, you may get an article about Paul McCartney, and it might be 2 pages, or one on John, or one on George, but these were all full pages. Then you saw my thumbnail. Well, this is the cover for Yoko's album, Seasons of Glass. But mine is a promo copy, which is kind of cool. It's got a little promo sticker down here, right here, right here, right here. You gotta look. And it's on Geffen Records as well. But Yoko was really so distraught with the whole thing that she's throwing it in the world's face of saying, look what you've done. And she uses that for her front cover of the album, which was really a big deal, a really big deal back then. There were buttons back then at that time. These are all original. I remember getting these in the stores in 1980. There were a lot more buttons. You may have a different button, but I'm just showing you 3. I've got several others. And this is something I haven't shown at all. This is my Beatles scrapbook, and over here's pictures of John and Chapman. And then these are all newspaper articles, magazine, or not magazines. These are all newspaper clippings, that kind of thing. I just thought I'd show you one or two of these. It's kind of hard to hold this and kind of do it right. There's an article there, different stuff there. But this is the really cool thing that I kept out to show you. This is another thing for John. But at the time, my brother worked in a radio station in 1980, and this was the actual real teletype that came across the paper talking about John being shot and dead. And this is the teletype. That's the original paper that came through, and I cut it out to put it in my scrapbook in 1980. I probably should have kept it as a full sheet. It probably would have been more of a collectible. But that's extremely rare. That is the original teletype thing that came across, telling the radio station so they could break into the broadcast to explain, another Rolling Stone, about John. And then we got another different Rolling Stones. They also came out with a really this is quite nice. This is a John Lennon poster. And this is 1940 to 1980. John Lennon there at the bottom. So basically, I don't know, kind of struggling for words of exactly what this video is. I'm not sure how to title it. I'm not sure how I'm going to describe it. It's basically a memory of mine of John Lennon on December 8th and 9th of losing John Lennon. What a horrible, sad, sad day. But his music lives on. Even though Chapman silenced John with the assassination, his music lives on through fantastic albums that we have, and interviews and videos and DVDs and CDs of audio. John is still with us, very, very much so, because we can enjoy all of the exciting and fantastic stuff of John Lennon. So perhaps maybe you have, well, okay, Seasons of Glass. It's not the one I wanted to grab. It's like one of those phone calls. Please stay on the line. Your call is very important to us. Don't you hate that? Alrighty, there we go. Double Fantasy. If you have this, maybe dig it out. You've probably been a while since you've listened to it. But I thank you so very much for watching, because this is kind of, like I said, I stumbled through it, a John video, which is actually kind of hard to do and hard to talk about, of what happened and all of that. But it's just my memory of taking place, of being with John in 1980. And like I said, you know, even though we lost John, we still have his fantastic music and his fantastic memories of all the great, great stuff that continues even to now, to 2022, of what Yoko is putting out more and more great John stuff. So we're continuing to get more things, which is just great. So we're so happy for that. But I thank each and every one of you for being here. Thank you for being on watching my channel and being a part. And subscribe to my channel down below. If you're not a part of Beatle Brad's channel, what's your problem? What's your problem, man? Come on, come on. It's just a fun video. All you get by hitting the button is the notification that I've got a video up, and there's no hassles and no commercials. There could be hassles and commercials, so hit the button, all right? I'm just playing with you, having fun. Gotta have fun, you know. So thank you so very much for watching. Like I said, thank you for being a part of it all. And celebrate John's life instead of what happened. So as I say on my channel, I'm out of here. Take care, everybody. See you on the next video.